Hello, my name is Brad. So this is my last video blog for IOR 190. This is our last assignment, and I'm going to be talking about the value of social media in the classroom and the value of collaboration inside of the classroom as well. So one really nice thing I liked about this semester is we were always asked open-ended questions, and as a result, on our assignments, we got to kind of have full control over our learning and take each assignment and run with it as we saw fit. So as a result, I retained much more information. I had a lot more fun, and I was way more passionate about the things I was learning about. And so that's kind of what this collaborative work environment created, at least for me. So I'd like to talk about an interesting article I found. It was entitled "The Millennial Student: A New Generation of Learners." And an interesting quote from the article is this. It says, "Learning has evolved into a learning-centered classroom that focuses on student learning rather than on teacher delivery." So I thought this was really interesting because, as you talked about in class, learning has really evolved over the past 3,000 years or so, and it's been pretty much the same for the past 3,000 years. But over these past few years, it's really been evolving, and it's been evolving from a very teacher-centered thing where the teacher teaches the student, and there's not really a two-way street, to a much more open-ended, open-source type of environment, which I think is awesome. So in this article, they talk about how the millennial student is kind of the first one to experience this new sort of learning, and they're the ones who are really kind of driving it. So they identify a millennial with the following characteristics: sheltered, team-oriented, confident, and pressured. So that's kind of four things that they identify a millennial as. But one thing they say instructors should be now is a facilitator of learning. So they see the instructor not as I'm going to teach you and it's going to be a one-way street, but as I'm going to facilitate a discussion and you guys are going to teach each other. So I thought that was really interesting. And that's one thing that you did in IOR 190 and I thought was just incredible because none of my other teachers have really done that. So I really learned so much from other students, and again, I had a lot of fun doing it, which allowed me to learn even more. But just some brief takeaways from this article. They think some some applications that can be applied inside of the classroom could be to include a variety of technologies like social media, like what you did, in teaching and in assignments. Also, to provide feedback is extremely important. And three words they used throughout this entire article that I thought were extremely important was collaborative, cooperative, and interactive. So these are all words that aren't, you know, a one-way street, but again, they're a two-way street, and that's how learning should be. And I think that's what we did in this class, which was awesome. So what do I think? I found some brief stats. Millennials will represent about 40% of the workforce by 2020, and 88% of millennials say they prefer a collaborative work culture. So that's some extremely interesting stats to point towards this environment being even more prevalent in the future. I also found an extremely interesting TED Talks article. It's titled "The New Power of Collaboration." So in this, some huge takeaways here was essentially he said there's a new type of production going on, and that is peer-to-peer production. And I think this is very true. Human civilization has been around for about 10,000 years, and they've experienced a lot of different types of production. Now, if we can work together, if we can come together via social media, via online networks, whatever it may be, or in person, peer-to-peer production is going to be critical in the future for the future progression of our society. So I thought that was one thing that was extremely important, and he cited a lot of different examples of how this open source and thing is kind of playing out. But Amazon has opened its application programming interface to 60,000 developers as a way to enrich not only others but also themselves. So that was one example of something. And in addition, HP, Sun, and IBM, all of the biggest IT players, are actually open sourcing their software patent portfolio for the common people to look at. So that was some really interesting ideas here, and I just think one thing I want to leave it on is collaboration and cooperation are very critical to furthering our society and to furthering one's personal growth and development. And that's one thing that you did in this classroom, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I just want to say thank you very much for amazing semester and a great class, and go Bears.